It's not a case of turn up, train for a couple of hours, and then off you go. We, Pro Soccer Global, we really believe in feeding back information. IKF always organised to have some local coaching staff there. And some of these guys are 21, 22 years old, and they're fantastic coaches. So I think it's not just the players that are improving. I think the coaching level is improving as well, which is so important. You're going to go abroad, talent will only take you so far. You have to have the mentality and you have to have the character as well. The IKF guys and their staff, everyone connected with IKF, Amit, everyone there, the work that they put in should be celebrated by everybody involved in Indian football.
So, hello everyone, I am Atavaris Warsi, the host of All About Football, and I am thrilled to welcome to you an exciting new podcast series in collaboration with India Khelo Football, IKF, named IKF Workshop Diaries. In this series, we'll be engaging with top dignitaries from the leading clubs and academies participating in the highly anticipated IKF Season 4 workshop scheduled for late September 2024. Today, we are kicking things off with a special guest, Chris McGrath, co-director of Pro Soccer Global, the organization behind this transformative workshop in India and who are conducting this workshop. So without any further ado, we'll dive deep into it. First question, Chris, how did you get into IKF? Means what was the procedure? How did you select IKF to conduct this workshop?
Well, firstly, thank you for having me on. I'm really excited to be speaking with you today. Actually, it was all credit to IKF. IKF Hitesh, one of the owners and founders of IKF, he reached out to us initially, and they actually selected us. So we're very, very grateful for that. We reached out online. I think they'd assessed a number of different potential partners, and they liked what we did and how we were, and they actually selected us, and it's been a really interesting ride so far, definitely. All of these, or the majority of these things, are their ideas. They all come from them. They're so highly motivated, and their goal is to increase opportunities for young footballers in India, and we're delighted to be a part of it.
Yeah. And can you walk us through the planning process for the IKF Season 4 workshop?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the basis of it all comes from the guys at IKF. We're there as like a kind of maybe strategic partner, giving ideas of how the workshops should be run, because I think British football, English football is well known for its kind of the structures and the organisational aspects of how they run the academies. The academies are very much a closed shop. You can't just walk into an academy. They're very well structured, very well organised, and they are. Let's be honest, they're football factories. The amount of care that the players get is incredible, but their whole design is to try and create footballers for one of the biggest leagues in the world, for the Premier League. So I think myself, my colleagues Jimmy and my other colleagues, we try to bring aspects of that over to these workshops to give the girls and boys, the Indian girls and boys, and a taste is what it is, a taste of how the academies are run, how the training sessions are structured. You start with warming up, with stretching, and then how we then start to build up the intensity and these kind of things. But the workshops are really interesting as well, because we also give feedback at the end of the workshop. So it's not a case of turn up, train for a couple of hours, and then off you go. We, Pro Soccer Global, we really believe in feeding back information. My colleague Jimmy scouts for Premier League Academy. I've worked with multiple Premier League and Championship academies and academies throughout Europe as well, as an independent. So we feel as though we have a very good understanding of how these things work. But I think one of the key factors is feeding back information to the children and to the parents as well. This doesn't happen without parents.
Yeah. So talking about Indian football, you have been with IKF since the season 1, and you have been part of the workshop, and this is the 4th season. So what do you feel about Indian football? What are the Indian footballers like as compared to UK footballers or European footballers in general?
I think one thing in common that they have is an absolute love and passion for the game. In fact, I'll elaborate on that. First and foremost, if you want to be a footballer, you have to have that passion. Forget about trying to be a professional and all the rest of it. That passion to play, and that is very evident in all of the areas you've been to. To Bangalore, to Pune, to Mumbai and Delhi and other places as well. And no matter where we go, the passion is incredible. But also there's a passion to learn and improve. The kids, the boys and girls, they want to be better. They want to learn. They listen. They really, really listen. And I think there's maybe a little bit in Europe, maybe some of the children are a bit spoiled because they have fantastic facilities and they have fantastic coaches and everything is so well organized. And some of the kids, not in a bad way, but because they have everything, they can maybe take it for granted a little bit, which is understandable with kids. But I think we see that every single boy and girl, no matter what age, when we do the workshops, they are so hungry to learn. They give so much energy. So I think there's the similarities. I think one of the biggest differences we've noticed is maybe the kind of tactical and technical ability of the players. I think in season one, we were looking at players who were like 18, 19, and their level, kind of the technical, how they can control the ball and pass the ball. In general, there were some good players, but the general level was not very high. So I think the grassroots coaching hasn't been widespread of a high level. But the younger children, and this is 3 seasons ago, the younger children, they were actually technically and tactically better than a lot of the older guys and girls. But then as every year goes on, IKF is spreading out all over India. Our scouting collaboration with IKF is spreading out all over India as well. And we're noticing that small percentage, but we're noticing that the younger players are getting more technical, more tactical. They're understanding the game more. Probably Premier League football and Spanish football, Italian football, probably easier to get. You can watch the games on your phone now. So there's kids watching the game and learning more from the game more now. And we also see, very interestingly, in every workshop, IKF always organised to have some local coaching staff there. And some of these guys are 21, 22 years old, and they're fantastic coaches. So I think it's not just the players that are improving. I think the coaching level is improving as well, which is so important.
Yeah, and compared to the season one, and this is the season fourth, so you must have tailored the program or the tactics according to the season one and now to the season four. You must have noticed the changes in Indian footballers in the recent seasons as well. So what you are bringing for the season fourth workshop means, what are the tactics in general that you are bringing in? What are the type of assessments that you will be doing in this workshop?
I think to be totally honest with you, I think the general idea is the same. We have the children for a limited amount of time. We have the players for a limited amount of time. It's not like we've run, week-long camps before, and over a week you can really dig into an individual player. But we have plenty of staff, lots of, the scouts like myself and our IKF scouts as well, and good coaches. So it's really to give them some training, some basic training, but also at the same time, we're trying to assess those players so we can give them some feedback at the end. So it's quite a lot to squeeze into one session. So it's still along a similar line, assessing the players' basic skills, because let's be honest, basic football skills, they're the foundation. Being able to control the ball, pass the ball, being able to move and dribble with the ball, all these kind of foundational things. And I think I would say the very first workshop we tried to do maybe a little bit too much. So it's actually over season 2 and season 3, we reduced it a little bit and simplified it. And that allowed us to really assess, each player. But then when we move into the game situations allow the better players to really show themselves. Training's great, but if you want to assess a player, the best way is in a game. So if you look at what the workshops are, there's a level of training, but also an assessment as well. So we have to marry the two together. So I think those basic exercises give us an idea of the foundational skills, as we call them. And then the games give you an idea of how they use their skills in the games, but also their character. Is the player confident? Are they bright and bubbly? And do they have that confidence to shoot and take someone on? You don't really see that in training. So we like to think we have a good balance of assessing the players. Yeah.
Yeah, and since you mentioned that in the matches, it is when you find that a player is good or bad, considering the situations, especially in a match. So what are some of the criterias that you feel is necessary, and you take those criterias in consideration in the workshop, that this player is good or this player is still not at that level?
Well, I think obviously those foundational skills, can they control the ball? Because as a scout, my business partner, my co-director, Jimmy, is a Premier League Academy scout. He works for one of the biggest clubs in the world. So, and myself as an independent, with European clubs and other English clubs, if you watch a game, and a player can't control the ball properly and can't pass the ball well, you would kind of very quickly move on from that player. You'll keep checking them, because maybe they have a bad day or whatever. But in general, you would tend to maybe kind of put that player out of your mind. So,
Mm.
and then as an experienced scout, you kind of learn to do that quite quickly. And then you may see a player who, gets the ball and dribbles past two men and fires a really good pass. As a scout, that's like, okay, that's interesting. So straight away,
Mm.
you look for these things. It can be, I find it's position specific. So if you see a goalkeeper who does a fantastic save, or a goalkeeper who receives the ball with his feet and is able to quickly, make a good pass, that's very interesting. If it's
Mm.
a centre back who gets up and wins a header or controls the ball, he maybe dribbles the ball from the back. That's interesting. A striker who scores 2 goals from 3 chances. So it's quite position specific. But I think a general thing is you're looking for those foundational skills. You're looking for some character in a player, some confidence. Whether it's a goalkeeper to do a pass, a striker to have a shot, a midfielder to turn and play a ball that way, a general confidence, and then the ability to actually execute that pass or execute that tackle or make that shot. It's these general things are what pique your interest. And then once you identify a player, maybe a winger, then you will maybe concentrate on and go, oh, okay, so he can use both feet. Tick. Always confident. He'll
Mm.
do a little bit of skill. He'll go past the man. He can put a good cross in. That's another good tick. Then you might say, oh, but he doesn't run back and defend. That's a red mark against him. You're looking for pluses and
Yeah.
minuses. But I think it is very position specific, really.
Yeah. And since you just mentioned now that a player can have a bad day as well at the workshop, so
Mhm.
given the chances that he should take in those, if he's from any city, so especially if it's a 2-day or 3-day workshop, so if it's a bad day for him in the first days, if you consider, then what are the feedbacks that you give to him? Because you must have noticed that, yeah, this player can do better than what he's performing at this day. So what are
Mhm.
the feedbacks that you provide to him?
Exactly what you've just said. We would say, okay, I think there's a player inside you, but you didn't look too confident today. We've had it many, many times. That was many times where you will see a player in training when he does. So imagine a game situation where you have someone pressing you, they're in your face, you're under pressure. You see many players who in the drills, in the training in the morning, they will play a pass, they will do some skill, no problem, when they're on their own. And then when it goes into a game situation, they feel that pressure, they don't have that confidence. So many times we will say, we always try to be positive, but I think we're not doing the individual players justice by just being nice. So it's, we're not horrible. We try to be nice guys about it, but we would say, look, you really need to work on that left foot. That left foot is not up to the level, or you need to be more confident. It's, I think feedback always should be positive, even if you're talking about an attribute that a player doesn't have, or something they're struggling with. You should still be positive with it, because we're here to motivate people and inspire them, but you shouldn't shirk the truth. You should tell them. So yeah, exactly that. And listen, sometimes the players have all the passion and all the energy and all the effort, but they're just not of the level. And it's going to be very hard for them to improve. But we'd always try and be honest and just tell them exactly what we think from our experience.
Yeah. And talking about Pro Soccer Global, because I just started off with the workshop. So, what would you say about Pro Soccer Global? What's the philosophy that you bring from Pro Soccer Global to this IKF workshop?
hmm I think for us, really, we always try, and our logo says, with you on and off the field. So I think
Mm.
a lot of football, for people who work in football, they do very good jobs, and they will always try and coach a player and motivate them and inspire them. And then sometimes once the training's done, you kind of the player goes away and the coach goes away, and there's nothing left over after that. There's nothing to take from that. So as I say, with regard to the IKF workshops, if we're talking specifically about them, one of the main things for us is the feedback, to give those players, our thoughts on their performance. Because as I said earlier, the hunger that we see and the desire to improve and be better, from the boys and girls at the IKF workshops is incredible. So as I say, I think we wouldn't be doing them justice if we didn't give them the feedback and also allow them to ask questions. The 2-3 big scary English guys are there and the kids are looking at us and we want them to feel like they can ask us questions. So we always will open up the floor, as we say, and say, anybody any questions? Anybody want to ask anything? And 9 times out of 10, when we're saying goodbye, there'll be 30 or 40 children trying to speak to us, asking us, how can I be this and how can I be that? Which is amazing. It's fantastic. It's nice to know that the children feel comfortable enough to come and ask us these questions. But feedback in football, in life, in work, in anything, feedback is very, very, it's very big. It's very important.
Yeah. And talking about the challenges that you must be facing because you are coming from Europe to India and in cities like Mumbai, Delhi, and Bangalore. So there must be challenges, of course, logistics challenges and the operation challenges. So how did you handle it, considering from season 1, if you talk about?
Again, I have to confess that is all taken care of for us by IKF. The guys Hitesh and Fanisa are unbelievable. Everything is organised, everything is taken care of. The IKF guys and their staff, everyone connected with IKF, Amit, everyone there. The work that they put in should be celebrated by everybody involved in Indian football. If it isn't already, it should be, because they are reaching out across the country to tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of boys, girls, parents. It's incredible, and we're lucky to be involved, very fortunate to be involved. We enjoy being involved, but yeah, myself and Jimmy, we give our input on how the camp should be run, how they should be structured, times and number of coaches and the drills, and we work with the scouts on the ground to look at the assessing of the players, the assessments. We work very closely with them, but the actual organisation of the logistics of putting it together and finding the location, that's all down to IKF. So we do our part as the organisation of the camp itself, but IKF are unbelievable, and full credit to them.
Yeah. And talking about the workshop, because it is conducted in different cities and mainly the big cities in India, Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore. So just a question popped up in my mind. From which city are the best players produced as far as you have seen?
Okay, so for us, and don't forget, we're still learning about India. Jimmy, my business partner, his geography is better than mine. So I'll say that straight away. But for me, it's been more a case of, I remember the first workshop we did, I think we did a tournament first, actually, and we noticed there was such a high number of players, and we were asking the IKF guys, like, where are these guys from? And it was the northeast region, of India. And when we were then educated on that and how, where they live and the terrain where they're from and how they live their lives and everything. Probably in general, the guys from that northeast region, I mean, physically they're incredibly strong, super fit. We were joking that they must have 3 or 4 lungs because they can just run and run and run. The physical aspect was there, but also technically, some of those guys they just seem to have a physical edge. Even just looking at their physical appearance, their shape, strong thighs and strong bodies, and you can just see them running, very athletic. So I'd say that was the main region that we've seen. I know that's not exactly a city, but no, I mean, I think last year we were in Bangalore. I think was it? I can't remember. And I've seen one of the best 10-year-old kids I've ever seen in my life. He was absolutely incredible, this kid. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And that can happen. You can have a kid from a small town in Africa or in Liverpool or wherever, and this kid is just naturally unbelievable. But I think for us, generally, that northeast region is where is like a hotbed of talent, I think, at the minute.
Exactly. I mean, most of the talents in the Indian football is from the Northeast itself, and they have a separate fan base for football as well. So coming back to the workshop, you have to maintain that consistency and quality over all 3 cities, because if the first is Mumbai, then you have to maintain the same quality and consistency in Bangalore as well as in Delhi. So how do you do that?
I think that is down to how we structure the workshops. We will actually structure them and have it exactly the same, a uniform structure of every workshop, no matter where we go. Obviously, if you do a workshop in Italy or Brazil or India, and it's an open workshop, you never ever know what level of players you're going to get. We know we're always going to get enthusiastic boys and girls in India who will work 100%, give 100% energy and enthusiasm. So that those elements always ensure a certain level of consistency, because every session will be high tempo. Every game, the kids will be running as fast as they can, giving a lot of energy. But then when you look at maybe the actual quality, the individual quality of the players, those foundational skills, that's something that's an anomaly. You can just never account for that. But I think if you want to have any level of consistency in football camps or football workshops, no matter where you are, if you have a structure, a proven structure, and we feel ours is proven because we've done it in Hungary, we've done it in Canada, we're doing it in India, we did it in Ghana, and we always feel that we've maintained a good level of camps that we do. So I think that's important.
Yeah, and coming back to the benefits part, there's a scholarship term that will be given to the players that will be scouted, and he will be taken to the European academies, and he will be allowed to play there. So, can you tell us about the same?
Yeah, so basically around the world now, we have lots of international academies where you can do, football courses and educational courses. It's different from the professional football academies. So you have to pay to go to these academies, but the opportunities that can arise from that are fantastic. You can get fantastic education in a European. They have them all over the world, but we focus more on Europe. You get a fantastic education. You have top quality coaches there, top quality facilities. So the idea that we had in collaboration with IKF is that. We work with a large number or a good number of very well established international academies, and when we do our workshops with IKF, myself, Jimmy, and the scouts, we will identify the player that we feel had the best potential, the best attitude as well, because it can't just be potential; it has to be the mentality as well, the character. Because if you're going to go abroad, talent will only take you so far. You have to have the mentality and you have to have the character as well, Exactly. And then what we do is we factor in with each of the international academies that they will give a free, I think it's a month or a 2-month scholarship for the boys that we scout, that we recommend. And we've had a number of those so far that have been very, very successful. So from each of the workshops, myself and Jimmy and the other IKF scouts, we all sit down and we all discuss, and we will suggest one or two of the best players with all factors considered. Yeah. And IKF will then select which player will go to which international academy. And it's just an incredible, incredible opportunity. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. And since the IKF workshop is eligible for the players who are born from 2006 to 2013, so talking about the tactical skills, it will be different from a boy or girl who is from 2006, who is from 2007. Then it will be different for someone who is born in 2013. So how do you maintain the tactical skills, and how do you deal with the players?
I mean, it comes down to you have to look at each individual player, but then you also have to have that structure of. So if you look at the English academies, they will work on those foundational skills as early as possible, because that is the foundation of how you become a footballer. So the older the players get, I think when we first started speaking on this call, our first workshop, we noticed that a large number of the older players, 18, 19 years old, a large number of them didn't really have a higher level of foundational skills. And a lot of those players still were asking us, I want to go to England, I'd like to go to Europe and be a professional footballer. And then you have to have a difficult conversation with those players and say, listen, unfortunately, your foundational skills are kind of way far behind, boys and girls who are a lot younger than you in Europe. So to be honest with you, your chances are zero. So that when you're looking out at the younger players, you want to get those, passing, controlling the ball, moving, dribbling, all these kind of skills. You want to get those in as early as possible. So if you're looking to produce footballers, if you're an academy looking to produce footballers for the first team to be professional footballers, once you get to 15, 14, 15, 16, even earlier, if a player doesn't have those foundational skills, they have no chance. So it's a good question, but it's an individual basis, really. It's an individual basis of how you would maintain that. And yeah, once you reach a certain milestone, it's very difficult to get a 15, 16-year-old to improve their foundational ball skills. It really is.
Yeah. And since you have been from the season one workshop with IKF, you must have seen a lot of Indian footballers. So, what do you think of the decision-making abilities of the Indian footballers? Is it that developed as of European footballers, or is it still needs to be developed a lot?
I think again, if you look at 100 players, you're going to see some good players. You will in general see some good players, but I think overall it's another aspect that needs to be worked on and needs to be improved. I mean, you could say that about any country really, but I think specifically asking about the children that we've seen on the IKF workshops, then that is definitely another aspect that would need to be worked on. But I mean, I would say, with respect, probably a lot of the players that we get are not in, top level academies in India. A lot of the best players are already there. We went to, I forget the name now, apologies. We went to an actual academy. I think it was in Bangalore, and those players were all kind of 15, 16, 17. They train every day. They train at a high level. So their decision making was a lot better than a lot of the players in the workshops. Obviously, it's our job to try in that short space of time in the workshop to help them and motivate the guys. And, we will discuss in the feedback, you need to, be more aware on the pitch. You need to look for the pass, these kind of things. But when you actually see the boys and girls who are in the organized professional academies in India, their level is much higher. So I think grassroots football in England is like a religion. It's fierce. It's very, very well organized.
Yeah.
All of the top clubs in England, Premier League, Championship, League One, League Two, all of their scouts are out every Saturday and Sunday morning watching the grassroots leagues. And you will have players who are 8, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old who go immediately from grassroots football and they will sign for Liverpool or they will sign for Man City. That's how good grassroots football, the structure is in England. And I think that's what needs to be improved in India to really, and if you look at the population of India, the potential to produce footballers is insane. When you have every kid, I mean, I would say personally, I would think, I'm not a big cricket fan, sorry, but when we've been driving around India, I haven't seen really any children playing cricket in the street. I see many of them playing football, though. So I would imagine football is maybe starting to overtake in cricket with the young children. And when you have that love for the game and the sheer number of children, the potential for Indian football is huge. And I think IKF can make a massive difference, in the next 5, 10, 15 years. I really do. I really believe that they can.
And just so you mentioned that when you were driving past Indian streets, you saw mostly children are playing football. So just to give you a stat, in the FIFA World Cup 2022 that happened in 2022, India was ranked third in viewership. So that is the amount of praise for football in India. So coming back.
Sorry, yeah, Joe. I mean, that speaks for itself. So the amount of people watching football in India is crazy, and football is, with respect, it's quite an easy game to go and play. You can get a ball relatively cheaply. There's plenty of areas to play football. So I know we don't see too many full size 11-a-side pitches, which I know Jimmy and I've spoken a lot with the guys in IKF, and that would probably need to be improved as well, to have more full-size pitches, because that gives, playing on the smaller pitches has benefits, being able to play in tight spaces and short passes. But then when you get into the professional game, 11-a-side, it's very important to train the children how to use the space of a full-size pitch.
Yeah. And coming back to the workshop, let's talk about the benefits. So we have already talked about this scholarship that is going to be given to the players, 100% scholarship, who will be performing at a great level. But apart from there, what are the long-term benefits for the IKF workshop?
I think there's a number of them, and I mean, I think first and foremost, it gives the boys and girls who attend and the parents, it gives them a taste of what football is like outside of India. which no matter where you come from, again, whether it's the US or India or Brazil or even, I don't know, China, wherever, you if your goal or your dream is to be a professional footballer, I think it's always good to test yourself and to find out information and find out how, the best leagues in the world operate, because the best players go to the best leagues. So we try to give the players and parents, because parents are so important in this equation, we try and give everyone a taste. It is only a small taste, but we try to give them a taste and to motivate and inspire. I'll tell you, if you don't mind, a very quick story. Only about, I think maybe 3 weeks ago, I had a message, a DM on our Pro Soccer Global Instagram from a girl who attended one of our IKF workshops, and I think I spoke with her because she specifically mentioned me, and she's now made herself. So she herself has gone and found a better team. She's now captain of that team, and I think she played in like a regional tournament, and they got to the final or something. And I was very grateful. She did like a thank you post on Instagram saying, you've motivated me or inspired me to do this. So, when from our side, mine and Jimmy and everyone at Pro Soccer Global, realistically, this is one of the main reasons why we go, because we want to try and show that maybe you're not going to be a Premier League footballer. The chances of 99% of English boys and girls of being Premier League footballers is about 0.1%. But if we can help you, if we can motivate players and inspire players to push themselves to improve and push themselves to try out for a higher team and play for their region, who knows, maybe one of the players plays for the India under-19 national team. I don't know. I think realistic goals, if we can help to inspire that, that's great for us. It's great for the kids. It's great for the parents. It's great for IKF. Nobody loses in that scenario.
Exactly. Yeah. And talking about, just like you mentioned, that parents play an important role as well in the workshops. So it is quite relatively easy to give feedbacks to the kid because they listen to you. But how difficult is it to give feedbacks to the parents? Because in India, it is considered that sports is still considered that it is not a field to pursue. In India, that's a kind of mentality. So how difficult for you is it to give the feedback to the parents?
Do you know what? That's a fantastic question. And the way you said it is 100% right. We noticed that, but what I mean by that is it's not difficult to give feedback to the parents. It's more, I think what happens a lot is when the workshops are finished, obviously the parents are all fantastic. The parents always seem very happy to see us, which is lovely for Jimmy and I. It's always nice to go somewhere and people be happy to see you. If they weren't happy, we'd be really worried. So I think, do you know what? I would say the majority of the questions that we get which is really nice, is like, how can we help our son or daughter to get to Europe to play football? It's never really, there's not so many questions of like, we don't think this is realistic to pursue, although we know that is a common theme, So I think the people who bring their children to the workshops are a large number, are very, very motivated and very passionate about helping their children to go to England or go to Spain. What the difficult part of the conversation is when we have to say, look, your child has so much enthusiasm, beautiful child, fantastic child, but the chances of them playing in England are zero. That's the hard part, because you never want to dampen or even kill, a child's dream or a parent's dream for their child. But Jimmy and I don't believe in false hope. We would rather be true. So our kind of general advice is to maybe try and get them an individual coach, or try and speak to the best team in your city and see if your child can have tryouts with them. Realistic goals, realistic targets. They're probably the more difficult conversations. But parents, no matter whether it's cricket, football, education, for us, football is always secondary. Education is the most important thing in anyone's life. It's the most important thing. But I think, for us, when the parents speak to us, we always just try and be honest and tell them the truth.
Yeah. And speaking about the workshop, since it is still the season 4 of this workshop, so what do you think? How will the workshop progress forward, and how will it help Indian football in general? Because Indian football, as they say, it's still rising and it will grow much more in the future. but
Mhm.
at the moment it's still very young. So what do you think? How will this workshop help Indian football?
I think it offers children something that maybe they haven't had before, which is always good. You know, when you're trying to grow, well, yeah, let's say football. You're trying to grow football in India, and you're trying to grow it in a way that it's not just a case of trying to get more children to take part. You're also trying to improve opportunities, education, and training for the players who are already involved and already taking part in football. So we like to feel that what we do gives children, again, it is a small, a small taste or a small opportunity, but we like to try and use the workshops to motivate children to be better, because you know what it's like if you have a child and your dad tells you need to be better with your right foot. You go, yeah, okay, dad, yeah. They don't really listen. Whereas if Jimmy and I say it to them, or the coaches, that, oh yeah, okay, I'll work on that.
Hmm.
I've had it before with English players, with European players, and I will give a player feedback, and the kid
Hmm.
goes, yes, okay, yes, I'll do that. And the father looks at the child and goes, I've been telling you to do that for 4 years, but you don't listen to me. Because, kids don't listen to their parents. I'm joking, but they don't. So I think having someone from outside of the comfort zone, having someone with experience, that usually that has a positive impact. And the minimum that we're trying to do is have a positive impact, motivate, inspire. And if there's 300-400 kids at the workshop, if we can inspire 50 kids to work harder, to really work on improving their weaker foot, all these kind of things, then that surely has to be a benefit to Indian football in general. The more children you can inspire and
Hmm.
motivate, the more chances there are these players are going to progress. So we feel they
Yeah.
definitely have a positive impact, and also we get to educate parents a little bit as well. So again, it's a win-win-win for
Hmm.
everybody.
Yeah. So I guess it is 40 minutes in the interview, and I think like it's just taken too much time. So just final words from you, Chris. You want to add something regarding to the workshop, regarding to Pro Soccer Global? Just anything that you want to add for the ones that will be watching this video?
Well, I mean, we've loved our times coming to India. The hospitality is absolutely incredible. All of the children and parents, it's been nothing but positive. We like to feel, as I say, that we're providing really good quality workshops. We most of the workshops sell out. So if anyone hasn't registered
Hmm.
yet, please go online and register very, very soon. And yeah, we're just looking forward to seeing everybody again. We always have a fantastic time, and we feel that the children and parents do as well. So, and any opportunity I can take to say thank you to the guys at IKF, I will do, because this is all down to them. The whole thing is down to them.
Yeah. So that is it from this episode, the episode one of the IKF Football Diaries. The first podcast was with Chris McGrath, the Pro Soccer Global co-director. And yeah, that is it from my side as well. It was a great episode. Any words, Chris, for the interview? How did you feel about the same?
Well, as you can tell, I like to talk a lot, so I'm sure you'll have plenty to mull over after this conversation. I can't believe that's been like 40 minutes, so sorry if I've gone on too much, but very grateful for the opportunity. Thank you for having me, and I've had a great time.
Yeah, so that is it from our side. Do follow IKF and do register for the workshop, everyone who is watching the video, because it will eventually help you and will help Indian football as well. And that is our goal after all. So yeah, do register. I will put it in the description box, and don't forget to subscribe my channel, All About Football. That is it from my side. Atavaris Varsi, host and founder of All About Football. Thank you.
Thank you.